questions for you all, and I want you just to jump in and start answering them. And raise your hand, unmute, and we'll just go for it. So the first thing is think about the best show team you've ever worked with. I would feel like I was just on that show. And then what made it work so well? Okay, that's what you're going to be thinking about as we go through all these questions. Discussion topic number one is everyone wants to help, but at what point does it become too much? When is jumping in helpful and when does it cause confusion? Have you ever had too many people on the same problem?
Well, I can jump in and tell you when I've been I got in trouble. So my mentality is one to always look around and see what needs to be done. And I had probably 15 rooms, and I was responsible for making sure all the tech was set up and and they were good to go. I had two big rooms and a bunch of small, and they were spread apart like this whole hotel. Um, and one room needed chairs. They had more people, more butts than seats. And I happened to see in the back way, like the service area, there was a bunch of chairs. So I'm like, let's go get the chairs. So I go to get the chairs. We had changes started happening outside in the lobby area where people were changing to the next session. I was sucked into the chairs and I got in so much trouble. They're like, your job is not to get the chairs. Your job is to make sure people are going where they need to go to and make sure things set up. I'm like, absolutely right. Like, our intention is always to help everything. And in trying to help everything, I helped nothing but maybe got 30 more people in seats when they could have been standing. So
Yeah, that's a good one. Kate, you have your hand raised.
Um, for me, I work with some great crews. For me, the issue comes when I'm being the show caller, when everyone decides to be so helpful and they go off um, independently,
mm,
not knowing that, somebody, the show caller, needs to be the one in control. People trying to solve the problems, not through the chain of command. No matter good intentions, great intentions,
Yeah,
train wreck.
yeah, that's normal. Terry, what say you?
Well, I've had some spectacular crews, and I have been very blessed with that. And I had a particular show where our darling client wasn't used to a professional crew and demanded to be on headset. And she kept calling the shows, but she was always about 3 beats ahead. And my spectacular crew would stop everything and go, Terry, is that a GO or not? It's like, yeah, guys, hang on, I'll get you there. We're a little ahead of schedule. But yeah, it was exciting, and we finally had to calm the client down and get her to sort of back off so we could do the show. And
Yeah.
sadly, we did such a good job. We get to do it again next year.
Oh, this is a fresh one.
Oh
Nice.
yeah. No,
Uh,
this will be our third one for her. But
okay.
yeah,
Well,
we
good for you.
no good deed goes unpunished.
No, I had a show caller one time. We had client on headset and kept calling like music cues, and my show caller said, Angela, would you like to wear my headset? You want to call the cues? I guess she was calling him through me. No, she was calling him through me. I was near the client who's like, tell her to hit it faster, tell her more volume, tell her to fade it sooner. It was like during an awards. And I had to be like, and she's asking you to hit it sooner. She wants you to fade it sooner. Can we pump it up a little more? And she goes, can you ask Angela if she wants to wear my headset? Now what
It's
am I supposed to do? Do
it's
you
an
want to wear like
adventure.
it's the client? Anyway,
Yeah,
uh,
it's such a fine line when it's the client that you're trying to get to back off.
I know, and then the stage manager being sassy, and I have to be nice. She's pissed. Anyway, what's up, Julie? What do you have?
Oh, I was going to say some people are kind of alluding to it. I think the thing that I would say is when there are too many people driving the bus, like when we're not really clear on who should be leading, or you don't have that conversation in advance when there kind of should be two people, right? Maybe you're
Mhm.
heading one area and your other producer or deck manager, or somebody is heading another area, and you don't know when you have to connect with each other. You haven't spoken about at this moment when it could be either of us, which one is it going to be? I think most about that about theater, like with my musical director, in a musical, like, okay, am I following you or are you following me? Which way are we going to go? And it's usually a cohesive relationship, but that's always when it gets a little messy, is when that's not clear ahead of time.
100%. Perfect example. I was deck managing last week for a new producer, a new client, and some shows when I run the deck, I run the deck. Like I'm running rehearsal. Hello, Mr. Presenter. Here's your downstage monitors. Here's your clicker. Here's this. Here's that. Graphics, you have to change. Can we put teleprompter? Can we do this? Like I will run it. And then sometimes I get a producer who doesn't want, they want control of the client. And so before the show started, I said to the producer, I'm like, listen, I'm at your service. Do you want me to run rehearsal or do you want me to talk to them and help with changes? Or are you going to do it? And he's like, I'll do it. I said, okay. So I literally stood back and let him do everything that I normally do. But it just depends what normal is normal. That's normal for a different show. And then then he handed him off to me to do more stage logistics. So it is the conversation and communication that kept me in my lane for this show. And he was in his lane. And just as long as you guys are communicating, it can work. Chris, did you have something? I saw your hand go up.
Obviously, I haven't been on Zoom for a while because I can't find the freaking raise the hand command. Where the hell is it now?
This
Can
works
someone
great.
tell me? Thanks, but I want to put my cute little our cartoon hand up. Where is it?
I don't know. Is it by your hand? Is it by your name?
Do I need to be in the
It's in
participant
the
list?
React.
Yeah, look and react.
You have to push React, and then the second one from the bottom says raise hand.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't even know.
Thank you.
I
Mhm.
still don't know. Okay.
Well, I could amplify on this a little bit, Nancy, if I got the floor for a second. That
You have
I
the
think
floor, sir.
one of my previous teachers long ago for theater had an axiom that I've followed a lot of: in the absence of leadership, the stage manager will lead. And that's something I follow in the room. And it's an interesting thing to negotiate and navigate when you get a new client. But when having clients that you've been with for, 3, 4 times in the past, you get that vibe, get that thing about how much they want you to help. And we all come with a great modicum of experience from our past. I could be a director of a show if they need me to. I can also sit back and just say go if they want me to, and everything in between. So it's one of those things every time of just finding the way in of how much they want me or anybody else for that matter to say. That's all.
Okay, there was a good quote from that.
In
Can
the
you go back?
absence of leadership,
Yeah.
I, the stage manager, show caller, will lead. So nobody else is
Yeah.
going to run this room. Nobody else is going to run this rehearsal.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. We're going to get it done.
Mm-hmm. Amen. I love it. And then as a deck manager too, that's another conversation I have to have with the stage manager. How much control do you want me to take of the stage right now? Because I'm the one that's closest to them. I can talk to the presenter and know when they're ready. Sometimes stage managers want me to back off a little bit, but communication.
Yep,
All
it's an
right.
upfront I always have with every producer I've got. If I've got a producer on a show that, how much do you want me to do? How much do you want me to contribute? I'll run your rehearsal or I'll sit back and take notes, whatever you need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every show's gonna be different.
Yep.
Terry.
Yeah, and going back to what you just said about being a deck manager and communicating with your show caller, as a show caller, when you have a deck manager who wants to call the show from backstage, how do you get them to back off without alienate them?
Ooh, that's kind of like one of our
It was
next
tricky.
questions is like staying in your lane without being territorial.
Right.
Yeah, how do you support another department without taking over, so to speak? What do you guys say for Terry?
Well, Terry, for me, I think it's in my show title. I always come on as a show caller. So if anybody's going to call the cues, I'm the nexus of information for everything. I've got all the current information. We've got everybody communicating with us. So certainly if somebody's trying to usurp that, that's a touchy-feely kind of thing that I have had to say. I think it needs to come from one source, and I think I've got all the current stuff.
Yeah, it was a tricky situation. And this individual has done some rather egregious things that have affected my career because I did not let her call the show from backstage. Fortunately, my crew was, again, there recognizing that I was the show caller, but this individual was a little tricky to deal with. And word has gotten back to me about some of the things that she said
Aw.
because I wouldn't let her call the show from backstage. Or I
Doesn't
wouldn't.
sound fun.
So,
Yeah.
but to answer your question in you're actually leading up to a couple different discussion topics. Like when those responsibilities seem unclear and this is happening to you, where do you go for clarity?
Mhm.
How did you handle it? Like, did,
I continued to be as polite about things as I could because my direct client was on comm. So I wanted them to see that I was not being aggressive with her as she was being with me. And I wanted to make sure that I stayed very calm. And fortunately, the crew stayed with me and didn't follow her, uh, what she was doing. So ultimately, it worked sort of in my favor, but it was contentious. And I'm disappointed at some of the comments that I have heard after the fact. Yeah,
that's,
unfortunately.
yeah.
But she was a very good deck manager. She's very good at everything she does. Just the contention between she and I somehow didn't work.
Oh, yeah. And so then the lines get crossed.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah, I have a couple things getting back to the client and crew. There's one thing that I always took from television, and it's like if we're live or if we're rehearsing, there's one voice, and that's the show caller in television. It's the director, and good crews know that because I've heard him mention it to somebody else. No, no, he'll let you know. Or if sometimes when there's an issue, I do like to get hey, we got to do this. I sound like a producer. How many producers does it take to change a light bulb? I don't know. What do you think? Anyway, I ask folks, what's, and then I'll make the decision and go with it. But the same thing also happens with clients, and I have to establish that early that, hey, we want to come in here on the schedule. I just released the crew 10 minutes ago. We can do it at this time. We can do it at this time, but it's those things usually have to be addressed with the client and with the crew that there's one voice. And if there are people who are working on other things or at lunch or on break, it has to be. And most clients, they're like, oh, I get it. I've had some that don't. And so we'll work with them and try and figure it out. But that's critical and keeps also the crew happy when they're not having to, wolf down sandwiches at their desk. And but it's just a matter too of keeping the communication open.
100%. And then hierarchy, you say there's one voice, and we've kind of said it's the show caller. When does the producer, the TD, I think those are also voices that have a really large impact on the crew. Have you guys had situations where it's not the show caller, it's going to be your TD or your producer that's going to make this next decision?
Yeah, there's a bunch of producers I work with it's very clear that I'm number two, and that's okay. Again, but it's about being that upfront, clear conversation at the beginning of it, and learning that work style of the producers had the greatest contact over time with the client. They've been the one, I mean, sometimes they hand me an ROS. Hey, if the producers made the ROS for me, that's a cool thing. But to me, that's obviously their show then. I take it, might rework it to be my own, but TD to me have remained in the technical realm about how things look, how things appear on stage, but it rarely had artistic input towards me about how the show should be done. And sometimes there's clients who haven't really worked with production companies much, who may be a newer, smaller company doing a first larger presentation with more AV, and here I come as a show caller to help them out the first time, and they don't know what I do. So I try and just be explicit about that. Maybe there isn't a producer. There's been a couple times like that. So it's the client and me basically. If I've been hired by an AV company to run the show. So I just try and give them the opportunity to have a conversation up front about how I can help you. Here's what I can do to make this go smoother. Here's, I can call these cues, I can run this rehearsal, we can make schedules, we do all these things. So that relationship hierarchically changes per production. So just again, navigating that field of being upfront and clear about expectations, it can help a lot always.
Yep. Megan?
And I guess to also to clarify on producer, like in a show, anytime a producer or client says, no, we need to do this, it's like, oh, okay. They definitely are the producer and the client are the final word on things, but they know that it's my job to make that happen and to make it happen in a seamless way. And so then I've worked with some clients where they go, this is what I need to do. I don't have to do it right the next thing, but how soon can we do it? And then I'll mention, maybe the TD will be involved in the decision, and graphics, video, V1, but I'll make the decision and try and keep everybody happy. But
Yeah.
they don't. I don't allow them to. Well, not no, don't allow, but if they start to jump in with queuing people, I say, no, it's okay. We'll take care of it. Let me know what you're looking for, and let's get this worked out so looks great.
And
Beautiful.
wrangling chaos. We're good at that. That's what we do.
Exactly.
It's my favorite part of the job.
Yeah. Megan, did you want to say something?
Yeah, obviously there's been a lot of mention about communication and the conversations that need to happen to ensure that there's boundary setting, perhaps with clients, or just kind of an understanding of role. And I guess I was curious from your guys' perspective, how far in advance do those conversations need to happen? Are they happening further in advance? Is that helpful or hurtful? I'm kind of curious about when you initiate those conversations.
I think that's
A lot
another
of
one where
times,
it varies because, I mean, sometimes I'm brought in on a pre-production and depends on, particularly long-term clients. They're looking to me to take it from the word dot, and they know that I'm going to have it. Other times I walk into a room and I never met a soul in there, and I just have to suss it out in the, who am I in this room? What do they expect of me? What, yeah. So it's just totally variable.
yeah, I think exactly what Kate said. It depends on the show of what you're doing. And if you know the crew or don't know the crew, and if you're brought in from the outside, but the crew all knows each other. I've been in situations where they all know each other and you are the outsider.
Yeah.
So sometimes it also helps to have that welcome conversation of like, hey, I'm Melissa. I'm your show caller. Here's what I expect from you. Here's what you can ask me for. Like, if I'm not giving you what you need, you can come to me too, and like make it a two-way street that way too.
Yeah, I always try to start in those situations with kind of the let me know what I can do for you. Yeah, here I am, but let me know what I can do for you, and that buys you some goodwill.
Yeah. And I think
I was.
go ahead, Keith.
Go ahead. I was. I've had a number of times where either the producer or the client or both, they want to do a meet and greet
Yes.
with the crew and stuff. And I love that because that really helps to lay out who does what. And I also try and throw in things like, so if you've got a change in your PowerPoint, the first person you need to talk to is this, and da, 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 they'll let me know. And, kind of give some ground rules, especially crews that I don't know or clients that I don't know.
Yeah. I was going to say almost the same thing. I love it when we have time for a face-to-face paper tech because I'm going to be
Yes.
calling your show and I'm calling graphics and I'm calling, Spider or I'm calling E2. Like, I want to see your face. I want to put a name. I want to call you by name. Kate, can I have changes or, whatever. Like, so I love getting a paper tech where I get to see them and introduce myself and then tell them this is what I'm doing. The last word out of my mouth will be the word go. If you don't like the way I'm queuing something during tech, tell me how you like to have it queued. Is it going to be IR? Is it going to be a VO? Or is it going to be like, how do you like your music cue? How do you like your play-ons? Whatever. Like I love having that. So Melissa, that happens live, like, right before we tech. If you're lucky, you get that. And if you even get my last show, when they're big enough, they'll have a online meeting where we all meet each other online. Actually, my last show wasn't that big, and we met online. And I got to meet the producer and the show caller, and I was deck managing, and that's not normal, but that was beautiful. And I don't charge for that. Some people do. That's another topic. Um, okay, what about when you support another department? How can we successfully support another department without taking over? What are some examples of you're not in your lane anymore, you've jumped to another lane, but it's actually in a support position that works or doesn't work? Can you guys think of those situations?
I think that sometimes that happens with prompter a little bit. Like if
For
you're a
sure.
deck manager and you have a person that comes up with your script and you're like, let me interface with you and take all your notes or like physically write on their paper copy of whatever it is. And then you can go hand it back to the prompter op instead of like sometimes they get bogged down if there's too many people coming to them with changes at the same time.
That's a great example.
One
Yeah.
of my favorite tells for graphics is when I see that presenter up there with that pickle in their hand, pointing it at the DSM to change it. And if I can ever get a word in edgewise, sometimes I'll just refer to them and I'll let you know that person's behind you backstage. And if we need any help from your PowerPoint or in your notes or anything like that, your PowerPoint operator back there, the graphics operator, is scrolling those notes for you. They can make changes for you. If I find like an easy in, then they realize this person's behind them. It's not just this machine down here.
Yeah.
One of my biggest issues is when I have a graphics op that's not as fast as I used to be. It's it's really tempting to dive in, and I have to make myself just step back and let them do their gig. But I've had a couple of situations where they genuinely didn't know how to do something, and I I had to step in because we were about to crash and burn. And fortunately, I had 15 years of graphics, so I had that background and I could step in and make that happen. I'm not saying actually saved the show because I would never ever do that because I don't save shows. Um, but I felt bad for the graphics op because he was put in a position that he wasn't fully, he was told he was going to push buttons.
Oh yeah.
And it became way more than
Man, changes.
here. I'm about to go on stage. That guy's got 2 more slides and I need to make a change. And how does that guy do that without freaking out?
Yeah.
And so we had to have some really quick discussions because I'm front of house. Fortunately, he was smart enough to get on comm and go, I've got to change and this guy's about to go on stage. What do I do? Okay, just do it on the backup. Tell me when you're ready. We'll switch to backup at the right time. It wasn't as big a deal, but this guy was, first of all, I had to get him to calm down because he was having a hard
Oh,
time
sure.
breathing.
Sure.
Because he didn't really know how to make that happen, but he wanted to make this doctor who was already angry happy. And he was put in a really untenable position. And I felt bad for him.
Yeah.
I find him
Uh,
often having to manage those kind of expectations with graphics people backstage and changes and stuff like that, and just trying to protect your graphics person so that the show that's on stage is the most important thing. But two presenters down the road, he's coming in having a freak out. So just saying, okay, can you? We have this panel discussion. There's nothing happening during then. They can work on your presentation during that. You don't come up till after the break. So we can work on your presentation during that. But right now I have to, concentrate on what, your CEO is on stage and really need some love.
100%.
Well, and,
Yeah.
and Kate and Terry, sometimes that helpfulness that you're talking about, Nancy, about supporting our other members is to be able to say, we can't do that right now.
Yeah.
If that
We will
operator,
do it for you. We'll do
yep,
our level best to do it for you. But and I understand you, but this is not, but let us do it right. And now is not the time.
100%.
agreed.
I
Yep.
love it.
Yeah.
I think as a deck manager, I'm constantly jumping out of my lane. There's
Yeah.
presenters coming off the stage that have to go somewhere, and there's 5 of them. There's a panel, and I gotta get. I will take mics off if I'm allowed. Like I always ask my A2, is that okay? You want me to help
Yes.
you? I will also tell the A2 right away. Presenters coming backstage, clients coming backstage, so they know to be ready and not to be on YouTube. Not that that happened to me last week, but I will, get to learn my crew and what they need and where their strengths and weaknesses are and try to help them out. And I feel like I'm helping A2s out and we work very in sync normally as a team, right? Like, hey, I haven't mic'd up Kate yet. Where's Chris? Chris isn't on, like, what order? Who do you need? Like, I'll look for them and I get the PAs to go out looking for people, or me and the producer will help me find people. And then stage moves as well. I'm thinking about Sean now. Like, Sean, if you're running camera and you're doing records and all that, have you ever been pulled into another lane? with your position? Because I feel like I've pulled your people into to
Yeah,
other lanes
it
as a deck
it
manager.
it happens. It happens all the time, and it just sometimes you just have to say, hey, I've got too much going. Sometimes you just have to say, I've got too much going on. I need to concentrate on this, or I'm pretty good at multitasking, but you're absolutely right. It happens all the time, and you take it on a case by case basis.
Yeah, where are you at the moment?
But hey, I've run up from the back of the room to move a stool and a table too. Whatever. That's
Yeah.
if you got the time.
Yep.
I mean, if
Uh,
it doesn't affect my primary responsibility at the particular moment, then I'm able to handle something if it's something quick. But sometimes you just kind of have to say, hey, listen, I can't do anything else right now. I've got this happening.
mhm. What about those moments when something's not going well? Something's not working. Projector, I've had this happen. Projector just went out. Now what? What do you guys do?
I've always got my OS page mic in front of me to try and maintain control, that sort of thing. I've had to say, to a speaker on stage, we have lost the ability to display your video. We do have your videos down in the DSM, so if you'd like to continue speaking your presentation, we'll continue on. And the whole room hears it and they hear it, and sometimes that's the direction that's needed. Or you pause the show. We've had the ones where, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take 5 minutes and get these technical issues resolved, and we'll be right back. Stay close, thanks.
Copy.
So, it's that have all plan B and C.
I'm
Yep.
usually the person moving to the projector to troubleshoot the power, the cable, start going down the chain.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, because then people start audio starts. So did you plug it in? And I as a show caller, I will like quiet the comm. This is projection.
It always starts
Let
with the
us
power
know.
I
cable.
Yeah, like, and I let that department, like, I try to keep the comms as clear as possible so they can talk to each other. Whether it's audio, mic's going out, lav's not working. Know your lane, know where you can support, know when you need to back off. The deck manager probably has another OS mic, or your A2's running, the belt pack swinging. Like, can I get there before the A2 to get the belt pack back on, whatever. Like, just, I like to keep the comms clear so that the person in that department, the show caller and the person in that department can, because the client was like, what's wrong with the projector? What's wrong with the projector? When's it gonna come back? And I was like, the projection's working on it.
Always put
Well,
gaff tape over the button so they can't turn it off.
well, then there's the tips. That'll be another show, another think tank. Hacks.
Nancy, one of the things I put on my list recently is to ask audio on day one, how many extra channels can we have on the comm system? As you talk about keeping the comm clear, if we
yeah.
can get people off on the B or C channel to have those side conversations while we keep the party line on A clear so we can keep the show running in the right direction, it's super helpful. So it's just one of the things I always ask if we have multi-channel available and can we put a dedicated group in there from lighting or audio or projection or whatever else it's going to be.
Got it. Megan, you said prepare speakers for possibilities. I've witnessed entire room AV power shutting down. Presenter on stage was MVP and handled it like a champ. Oh, those are great stories when they
The
actually.
entire room's power got pulled by a plug that the banquet staff thought was their food area. It was horrible to watch. But the presenter, being, very professional, then told a story as soon as the power got turned back on, told a great story about how this has actually happened to her previously, and so she must be cursed, and the
Oh my
room,
gosh.
and we carried on and it was all as well. But definitely I think preparing those worst case scenarios is key.
All right, we still got some more time. Which role do you guys think is most misunderstood or doesn't get enough credit on your team? I just love this question.
Well, prompter was mentioned earlier. I've had so many more shows now, seeming with budget constraints, that we're getting into power prompter, and it doesn't ever work out as well as I want it to, or anybody else wants it to. Sometimes clients don't understand the benefit of a prompter; they're afraid of them or don't use them. But boy, I really think that's an undersung role that I would love to have on every single show that I do.
I
And
agree.
people who think that the graphics ops are teleprompters.
That's what I'm saying, power prompter, where it's in the
Yeah,
PowerPoint
yeah,
notes.
yeah,
So,
just
yep,
yeah,
yep,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Get some if you're gonna use it as a script, bring in a teleprompter operator,
please,
please.
please.
Yeah. When I was doing graphics, I had a client come to me and say, we're just going to do a couple of bullet points per slide. It's great. And it turned out to be a 56-page huge script that I had to then type into a whole different environment. And that was exciting. But then when another client brings in the next speaker, says, here's my graphics and here's my notes, and they're two different. And then now you need main and backup for notes on PowerPoint and main and backup. And then they start moving slides around.
And this is the rehearsal that the show starts in 2 hours.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This was a 6 a.m. rehearsal for an 8 a.m. show.
Yes. Those are the best.
So yes, my graphics people and my prompter people are gods and goddesses. Absolutely. Because I've been on that end of it.
Who else? Who's the unsung heroes?
Actually, I have kind of a little bit different take on it, more historical. I'm really glad that Temple's here and like ETA, they're doing their thing because with particularly with I was in house at a couple places and then with some other clients before I went freelance, and it was always, what does the show caller do? Are you a director? Are you a producer? Are you a stage manager? Are you a show caller? Are you a and a lot of what I'm seeing now is I've even seen some companies that would always refer to me as a producer, and I'm like, not putting everything together. Understand? I mean, I'll gather everything, make sure everybody's got it, but I'm calling the show. I'm not. My strength is not producing. It just, I have always admitted that, and slowly, I mean, it's changing. One of the companies that I work with, they finally on their thing of telling clients what they have, and a show caller. The show caller is that I went, they got it.
Yay!
So that was
Yay.
historically. I mean, and I think it almost took the pandemic. I started seeing the changes after that, and people started communicating more and getting finding places like Tempo because it's really helped. I think this industry, our side of it.
That makes me happy. Okay, I have one sitting down backstage on this huge show the whole time, and it looks like this guy's doing nothing but our intercom tech. I mean, we had 40 comms out, and he made sure, I don't know how many channels we had, holy smokes, but we all had our own channels, and I just think, oh my gosh, Joel, I go, you're amazing. I go, no one knows how valuable you are because when it's not working, then we're all like, I can't hear. She's too quiet. She's too loud. I can't hear. She can hear me, but I can't hear her. Like when you're getting ready to set up tech, and Joel's been doing this so long that it's when it goes like this, nobody sees him. But when it's not working, poor Joel, he's like, there to me on those shows where you have to like, yeah, like the unsung heroes are intercom tech. They don't get enough love.
But now that you've said that, the other guy that's really, really, really important is when you're in a hotel that's huge or a convention center that's huge and there's more than one show. And he's the guy that goes around and checks RF through the entire facility to make sure that the guy 16 doors down isn't clicking your guys on DSAM. Or interfering with your microphone and making your dropouts happen. That RF guy is just invaluable. And occasionally you get a really good one.
Yep. I mean, everybody's valuable. Everybody's invaluable, of course, we know that. But I think there's some like unsung heroes that are just there. The role's not really like for the client to walk backstage and see Joel, they don't know what he's doing. He's just sitting there. If he's sitting there, that's a good sign, right? Like that's what you want. And that's what you want your LED builders, your LED team. You want them sitting down, scrolling the internet, making their lives I'm always like, I hope you're doing like a master class or something in all your spare time. But if they're doing their job right, they look lazy backstage, but we know why they're there and what their role is, which I think is pretty cool. And I think I would argue an A2 as well.
I was going to
Those are
say
eight.
A2s because particularly on shows where I don't get a deck manager,
Mhm.
those A2s are asked to do a whole lot that isn't in their lane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. And they're physically touching your client.
Yes. Yeah. And most of them don't come from the same kind of stage management background that we do, or producing background. So they're not as sometimes, as versed in client interactions, and and they have a different touch on the show. But yeah, they're invaluable.
And kind of along that line, some of them I've seen that are so good are just exuding personality. I mean, it's like they can talk any client or presenter, just chat them up and get them comfortable. And I'm like, I love this person.
Yeah. And they can mic them up no matter what the ladies are wearing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
no problem. 2 seconds. They're got it down their back, on their bra, or on their neck. Like, I love a good A2. Love a talented A2. Um, all right, so finally, this was actually one of my questions. I didn't know you were going to be here, Chris, but it's kind of ironic. But what creates calm backstage? What is a calm backstage? What is it? Not even just backstage, a calm crew. Like, what does it look like? What creates it? How do we build that?
Well, I'm told that people love to hear my voice in their ear. Calm code calling doesn't get too excited anytime. This is what you get. So no one benefits from having a show call or anybody else on comm yelling in their ear about a problem or an issue, or we got to hurry up, anything. We just got to take it as it comes. So I tell younger folks in the industry or in stage management that it just comes from experience. We've done it all, we've seen it all, and so we're going to get through it. And when the crew can rely upon you as the person who's giving all those directions and all those cues, it makes everybody a heck of a lot more comfortable, makes everything just calmer and go better. It might not be the greatest show, but we don't need to get all terribly excited and worked up about it.
The crew being well fed
Yeah, good
And
catering goes a long
caffeinated.
way. Yeah.
Oh,
and
yeah.
who's watering and feeding these people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good snacks.
Yeah, and when I mentioned TD earlier, when I'm calling a show, I will check in usually with my TD about where are my breaks? What do I have to? When do I get turn into pumpkins? When did this crew get here? Because sometimes we don't have the same call time. And so my TD will be like, Nancy, you got 5 minutes. They got to wash up. Like, I love giving the reins to that TD when we're, rehearsing or whatever. I love having a TD that will put his hand up, like, I need to feed this crew. We need to get out. They have to, go wash up or whatever. It's time for a break. Um, but yeah, that's huge to me. Feed and water your team, please.
I build bio breaks into my show flow just so
Thank
everybody
you.
can see them.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yep. And honor them. And I mean, well, besides graphics, everyone go to lunch with graphics and prompter. It's so true. Someone just made those shirts. Show bacon. Who made the and whoever started that company? I'm drawing a blank. Is it Ceci?
Ceci, it's Ceci.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And one of her shirts says, "Everybody can have a bio except prompter and graphics." That's one of the shirts, and I laugh so hard. And this week on my show, graphics never had a break. I was like, "I'm gonna go get you lunch. Everybody can have lunch, but prompter and graphics." The unsung heroes, those two for sure.
One quick note, getting back to your previous about people that they don't really know what they do well and that kind of thing, especially on medium shows or with AV companies that are doing medium shows. And probably Sean could relate to this, and others of you that have, but camera operators. I've had people say, "Oh no, the rigger. We'll get the rigger to run camera." No, we won't.
Because
And
Sean.
I was doing one show that I did it for a number of years, and I was a camera director on it rather than the show caller, and had it was about 7,000 people. They do this huge parade of everybody, Mardi Gras kind of thing, and he was running a jib, and if they got off track and started talking to somebody, somebody get the da 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 da, and he would be the one that got it. And I'd say, and as a jib operator, his name was Sky, so I said, "Oh, that's appropriate." But I said, I just thanked him afterwards, and he said, "Well, he said I just do one thing." He said, "My main thing is I listen. So I'm listening to you, and I'm listening to the people on stage." And I'm saying, because he'd always have the shot, because based on what was happening in the room, and so many people that come up in camera haven't, you know, really learned that anticipation thing, and that's so. Those are some of my unsung heroes too.
That's a really good point. Yeah. And I love to get to know the camera operators, at least their names too. Like cameras, I'd rather say Sean. Like
Yeah,
with it's good. It's good to get to know their names as well, because I feel like they are definitely unsung heroes in the back of the house, back of the room. What am I saying? Front of house. And
that
and
place.
they don't get a whole lot of love, and they're there a long time sitting there.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I
well,
love
that
when
takes
my
us.
DSMs are labeled like camera one and then the name, cam two and then the name, because that helps me too. Like
Heck
if they
yeah.
label it in my DSM, it's great.
Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate that. Yep. All right, team. Well, that is 2 o'clock in California. That is the end of the think tank. It's 4 o'clock in Minneapolis. Thank you so much for being here. We're gonna do it again, probably not in July because that's holiday time. I'm gonna take the month of July off. You guys should do the same thing since I know we have busy years. This is our month hopefully to regroup and hang out with our family and enjoy some